Hello and welcome to Pet Prana. My name is Alex Bloom. I am a pet parent, a pet enthusiast, and back in the day I was sometimes known as a teacher's pet. I am here with the founder of Pet Prana, the expert, Denise Mange. Denise, so great to have you with us. So why don't you start by letting everyone know here what exactly you mean by Pet Prana? Because to me, that sounds a little bit like a pet fish from the Amazon that could eat you alive.
Being that I'm Brazilian, I can relate. So it probably has a little bit of that energy behind it. Well done, Alex. Well picked up on.
Thank you.
So Pet Prana is a name that I came up with to really encompass this new philosophy that we're going to be talking about today and in episodes to come. It's a new path forward in pet guardianship. Pet, if you actually look it up in the dictionary, means particularly cherished. And I think all of us can agree that our animal companions are cherished little beings in our lives. And prana, interestingly enough, means energy connecting everything in the universe. And for me, what's central to this philosophy is that we are connected with our animal companions and our energies intermingle.
Interesting. So you've said this is going to be a podcast for people who know their dog is more than a dog. It's very philosophical, very prana-esque, if I may. What do you mean by that? They're people who know their dog is more than a dog.
So that's kind of paying homage to the fact that pet parents see their animal companions in a completely different light than someone who doesn't have a pet. Because I think pet parents can all nod their head to the fact that some of our most intimate relationships in lives are with our animal companions because they've seen us in our most vulnerable state, they've seen us in our most joyous state, and everything in between. And because of that, they serve as a really strong access point to a lot of our energies and deep emotions, so they can truly act as our companions, as our teachers, as our partners in crime as we go through our journey of life.
It's true. I know my dog has seen me many times eating a full pizza without my shirt on while watching soap operas and crying.
I think we call that a la Hasselhoff.
Yes. It's a good thing they can't gossip, dogs, because what they would be able to tell other dogs is, or maybe they are, I don't know, like maybe a bark is like, hey, my dad is a loser. He's been home every Saturday night for the past year. Please help. All right, well, we're coming up on the wonderful holiday, the American holiday of the 4th of July. This year, it falls on July 4th, and you like that?
It took me a second, but I got
it. Every year, it's on the same.
Year.
It's saying it's on the same date. So they took a poll, Denise, and they discovered that the 4th of July is actually dogs' least favorite holiday.
Is that right?
It is correct. It just narrowly beat out New Year's Eve. Now, this might be because, dogs aren't very patriotic. They're from all different types. You got the German Shepherd, English Bulldog, Rhodesian Ridgeback. They don't care about the 4th of July.
This is a tough day for the English Bulldog.
It is.
I mean, it's a defeat.
It's a shame. And for the French Bulldog, it's just more of like, I gave you the Statue of Liberty, give me a break. That's doesn't sound like a good French accent, but people don't know that French Bulldogs actually famously have a very poor French accent. Although real reason why, we know that dogs don't love the 4th of July is because there's a lot of nonsense going on. There's fireworks, there's sparklers, there's bang snaps, there's loud noises, there's lots of people going around, lots of being told, no, don't touch that, don't touch this. So what are some things that we want to do to make our dogs happy and comfortable when we have our 4th of July gatherings in the backyard?
Right, so those festivities, right?
The festivities.
So the first thing I say is prepare, right? So a few weeks leading up to the 4th of July, I like to do what we call in the biz a little desensitization. And that is you go on YouTube, you download sounds of the fireworks going off, sound effects online are so easy to access, and you start playing them in the background as you play with your dog, you feed them treats. Some dogs, it doesn't even faze them. Some, they already start showing those early signs of stress. And it's worth mentioning that some signs of stress are going to be licking of their lips, panting, one front paw up a lot of times, or anything that's unnatural for your dog. As a pet parent, you're so tuned into your animal companion that any little difference in their body language can signal, I'm uncomfortable, this is new. So that's where that desensitization, adding treats into the equation and making it more commonplace is really going to help set them up for success on the 4th of July.
I have to admit, I'm a bit of a procrastinator, and I didn't do any of those things. So now I'm faced with, it's the day of, it's the morning, what do I do? I'm going to have a bunch of people over. My dog does not she doesn't love people being over. What can I do on the day of?
So the day of, it's going to be really important to get her some good physical exercise, right? And that means going for a nice long walk, or if she's not very mobile, even something like going out, sitting on a bench and letting her take in the world is going to help burn off some of that energy. Because as important as it is to have physical exercise, mental stimulation helps tucker them out, right? If I run the marathon, I'm kind of tired, but if I go to a museum and spend all day looking at art, I'm fatigued in a completely different way, but I'm exhausted. So we really want to find that balance between physical exercise and mental stimulation before your guests arrive.
I once ran a marathon while doing a crossword puzzle, and it was exhausting in so many ways. Yeah.
I actually believe it.
Yeah,
I believe that about you.
It was good. Well, when you run as slow as I do, there's really no issue. So I've exercised my dog. I've given her physical and mental stimulation. Mm-hmm. How does the spirituality, my connection with my dog, come into play when there's a lot of impending chaos? Mm-hmm. I'm going to be preparing for the party as well as the party itself. Mm-hmm. So are there things that I can do to kind of maintain a calm atmosphere for her, even though I'm excited?
Absolutely. So creating a safe space for her, going into that room, explaining to her what's going to happen, right? Because people have proven that dogs have the cognitive ability of a 2-year-old human child. I think it goes way beyond that. But when we sit down and we explain to our animal companion, listen, little one, there's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of people coming over. I'm going to leave you in here with some really fun things to chew on that are safe for you, like a bully stick, and I'll be checking in on you regularly. And it's going to be a great time. There might be a little bit of noise, so I'm going to turn on a little ambient music. My favorite are going to be Reiki playlists, something really kind of soothing and spa-like to help zen her out and drown out the noise of the crowd who's going to be around, drinking, having a good time, and being merry without me.
Do dogs really respond well to spa music? And what is Reiki music?
Oh, they do. So Reiki actually is music that they use during Reiki treatments, which are energetic attunements of people's chakras, which are vortices of energy. The beauty of it is that it's very calm, it's soothing, and it's spa-like. A lot of people think they'll leave on the news, but that can be really stressful for animals because they're taking in all the stress that's going on behind those headlines. The other common option people like to leave on is classical music. But with those crescendos and the silences, it can be a little startling for the dogs. So Reiki music is something that's very healing, and the tones have been attuned to work with the chakras. So it helps energetically balance your dog while you're away.
So does your dog have its own chakra?
They do. Just like humans have 7 major chakras, and of course we have so many more, dogs also have 7 major chakras, and they mirror the major chakras of the humans, both in energetic themes and in where they're located on the animals' bodies.
Well, that's interesting. So is my dog's chakra in tune with mine, or could we be in different places at the same time?
So it's interesting because that's the entire premise of Pet Prana. What I've done is I've created a roadmap to help us identify which pet behaviors are mirroring back issues within our human chakras, right? So that a dog's bark is not just a dog's bark. It might be, if it's an attention bark, an opportunity to revisit themes around the 3rd chakra, which are stepping into our power, taking action and responsibility, and moving ahead with our creative projects.
Wow. I thought he just needed to go out.
Sometimes a bark is just a bark, but most of the times there's something we can garner from that.
So when I do let the dog out for a little fun amongst my friends, after she's calmed down and listened to her music, there's going to be surely a lot of, little hot dog buns around, little droppings. My friends are slobs, and there's stuff around. Do I need to worry that she's gonna pick it up? Do I how attentive do I need to be?
Right. Well, first get new friends, right? I mean, that's first and foremost. But when they're out and about in a barbecue, what I like to do is attach their leash to your belt loop. So have them on a harness, have them on leash, attach it to your belt loop, and that way she's within your purview. She really can't go and grab anything without you noticing. I also like to put around signs in the barbecue, just reminding people in key places. Usually the bathroom's a good place where you have a captive audience, as well as over the bar. Just saying, reminder, we've got a dog here, please don't let food drop, because it could make my dog really sick. I also like to add on that, don't leave doors open, because with fireworks and big festivities and new people in the home, a lot of dogs bolt.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm wondering if there's any particular foods that most of us will have at a barbecue that we need to be sure to keep our dogs away from. Is it pickles? Is it coleslaw? Obviously, if they have a little bit of a burger, I don't think that's the end of the world. But there's all these side dishes. You never know what people are going to bring. All of a sudden, someone's bringing guacamole, beans, birthday cake to celebrate the birthday of America. Is there anything in particular that we need to really make sure we got to keep my dog? I need to keep my dog away from this because she'll eat anything.
Google is your friend, Alex.
So your advice is to use Google. So we're listening to a podcast
All right.
where you're the expert, and the expert advice, folks, is Google.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right, so we want to make sure that we keep away, apples, apple seeds. They can actually be very toxic to dogs. Believe it or not, they're so small, but they have cyanide in them. So if we do the bobbing for apples game and it's right at the ground level, your dog might grab a lot of apples. So we want to make sure that we keep them away from that. Yeast in bread is not the best thing for dogs, and especially if they're devouring like a hot dog bun or a hamburger bun, it could get lodged in their throat, right? Because that dough can turn into a pretty solid little ball if they've gobbled up a lot of it. Chocolate, of course, we want to keep away from dogs at all costs. And a lot of candy has something called xylitol, including peanut butter. So peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, very patriotic, but the xylitol in the peanut butter can be a problem for dogs. Cherry pits can be a choking hazard. Garlic, so if there's a lot of garlic and onions in anything, we want to keep that away from dogs. And grapes and raisins are actually very dangerous to dogs. We're not sure why, but they can induce like lethargy and vomiting. So we want to make sure that our dogs are safely tucked away from all those patriotic foods and fruits that we'll be able to enjoy. And then, of course, anything else that, dogs have very particular allergies these days. So they might not be able to tolerate poultry or turkey or chicken or anything to that effect. So also know what does not work for your dog's stomach, in addition to what generally tends to be more dangerous for our pups.
So put up the signs, tell people, please don't eat, because, there's something that people do. They just love giving dogs food because it's a way to get the dog to like you, or, you feel important. And
in that case, you could even put out a bowl of treats for dogs that are they very much look like dog treats, because I've had people eat some dog treats thinking they were human combo snacks.
Oh, I've eaten
what are they
dog
called?
Treats that look like ducks. I thought they were quackers. They weren't bad, I'll tell you. It tasted like, quackers.
The other thing is the alcohol. Sometimes we are at a party and people might think it's funny to offer your dog beer or some alcohol, and, the dog thinks it's an interesting taste and they'll go for it. But it can be really tough on their kidneys. So we do want to keep them away from alcohol, but they do have beer specifically made for dogs, if you'll believe it. So if you want your dog to join in, there are options.
Now, if my dog has a beer made for dogs, how many beers before he shouldn't drive?
It depends on how he can talk his way out of it with the doggy police.
And now on the Pet Prana podcast, it's time for What Breed Would They Be? That's right, folks. What breed would they be? This is a segment where we look at famous people and decide what breed of dog they would be were they a dog.
One of our favorite games.
It is. It's a fantastic game, and it's something that we all play on our own.
We love personifying our dogs, right?
Why do you think that
Why
is?
not go the other way?
Why do you think we love personifying our dogs?
I think because we identify such human characteristics in them that it just makes sense to personify them. It's the only way we can give them the credit that they're due. They are our equals.
Totally. All right, so what breed would they be? 4th of July edition. So, of course, 4th of July, we know this is about the independence of America, and who is more integral than the independence of America than our founding fathers? Founding fathers, what breed would they be? So let's start out with perhaps the most famous founding father, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, what breed would he be?
So going strictly on appearances, I say Basset Hound. He's got that rounded forehead and his hair flows down looking like their ears that are so flowy and droopy. So I think he's a dead ringer for a Basset Hound.
He's also kind of like round.
A little rotund.
Yeah, and Basset Hounds tend to be a little heavier on the...
Voluptuous.
Yeah, I'm not trying to fat shame here. I'm not trying to fat shame Ben Franklin or a Basset Hound.
Voluptuous. Maybe they choose the light beer next time.
Maybe. Okay. What breed would they be? Founding father Alexander Hamilton.
Okay, so given his facial features, his nose is kind of pointed, I'm going with Dachshund, which, by the way, is the hardest breed to spell, hands down.
It is. It
Hands
is a
down.
very hard... can you spell it right now?
Oh, good Lord. Dachshund. I always have to say dash hund to remember.
Or
Which I
look
think
at
is
it
the
on the screen,
pronunciation.
which is what you're doing.
Not all of us can run a marathon and do a crossword using ink.
That's true. Okay, what breed would they be? 4th of July edition, founding father George Washington.
I mean, given his wig or hair, whatever it is, I mean, poodle. We
Right.
go with the white poodle, no doubt.
Now,
How about you? What do you think?
I'm going to go with... I like the hair because it's, the big white hair. How about an Afghan?
Ooh,
You know, they have the, regal, white, flowing type of hair.
And they're very soft-spoken dogs.
Was George Washington soft-spoken?
I feel like he is. Looking at the founding fathers, I think he's probably the most soft-spoken, but when he speaks, it matters. That's what I'm going with.
And not an Afghan is like that.
I think so. I've worked with a few that have been amazing.
Have any of the Afghans you've worked with chopped down a cherry tree?
No, but they could have. They're big, strong little guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And then, founding father edition, what breed would they be? James Madison.
I'm going with Greyhound. Just he's got a look about him like he's about to bolt, like he's a fast runner.
All right, I could see that, I guess. Yeah, sure.
But you know what really bums me out?
What's that?
No one has a mustache or beard. I really wanted to go with a Schnauzer for one of the founding fathers because they're wise little dogs and they just have a knowing to them. But none of the founding fathers have any facial hair.
Well, that is because...
Lice.
Yes, lice. All right, one more founding father that I'm interested in, perhaps the granddaddy of them all, the big signature, John Hancock.
You tell me. I've done all the breeds.
Huh. All right, well, John Hancock had like I said,
big one.
big signature. Everyone, the big thing. So he was like very territorial.
He wanted to let them know
So I'm gonna say like a Chihuahua because they pee all over the place.
Yeah.
And they want to let you know.
They're the little guys who want to be seen and heard and make their presence known. I like that. That works. That tracks.
Big signature syndrome.
That's a thing.
It is now. All right, so what have we learned so far today on Pet Prana? All the wonderful, intuitive connections that we have with our pets who are more than just dogs, and that John Hancock likes to urinate a lot, much like a Chihuahua. You know, as we were preparing for our first Pet Prana podcast, we were talking a little bit about, what the topics we were going to cover and how they're especially revolving around 4th of July, since it's timely and we're trying to be timely and current, because that's what the kids like. And you were telling me that the 4th of July is actually the day which most dogs run away. There's a lot of lost dogs on the 4th of July.
That's right.
Sad. That sucks. I mean, I've never lost a dog, but I can imagine the feeling. You're helpless. I see people in the neighborhood. They're wandering around screaming the dog's name. You know, of course, you put up signs. You tell your neighbors. But is there something, a way we can look at this through the Pet Prana lens that will help bring our dogs back or help us deal with the fact that they're lost and how we can get them home?
Absolutely. So it is. Sometimes as pet parents, our animal companions bring us so much joy, but then we can have some pretty devastating and sad things happen with our animal companions. Probably the most devastating I can think of is a lost pet, because when your pet's sick or transitioned, it's horrible, but at least you know where they are.
Right.
As a pet parent, it's where are they? Are they okay? And so that brings up issues around the 7th chakra, which is all about themes of earthly attachment and understanding the big picture, right? Because sometimes things happen for a reason. A lot of us believe that our animal companions are here and they have their own sacred contracts and missions that they're working on and learning from, and sometimes they don't include us for a little while. Still, that's not something you want to hear when your pet's lost, and you want to do everything you can as a parent to bring them home. So in that process, that's where energy is so important, because even if your pet is microchipped, and it's important to microchip your pet and keep the information current, it doesn't mean that you can track where they are. It's not a GPS locator. It just means that if they arrive at a vet's office or a shelter, they'll scan your dog for a microchip and then your information pops up. It's more like a barcode than an actual GPS tracking device. But energetically, we have that connection with our animal companions. We can send out energetic messages. So one of the most effective tools in working with missing pets is what we call the energetic tether. And that's picturing a golden string coming out of your heart and attaching to your animal companion's heart. And it's using your imagination, it's using the love that you have from them, always accessing a point of joy rather than fear. And that connection helps bring them home. The other thing you can do is light up the path home. If you have an idea of where they slipped off to, if they always tend to go to certain neighbors' home or the supermarket, or you have a general idea of the region they escaped in, light up a path on a map. Just look at a map, visualize it, draw a line, keep holding that visual, because animals pick up on those telepathic messages. A third thing you can do is work with a pet intuitive. Animal communicators, there's many who actually specialize in lost pets and getting them back home.
Really? Pet intuitive?
Really, I've done it, if you'll believe it.
I believe it. So what happened?
So I got contacted, I think it was last summer, and a pet parent contacted me because her 2 dogs went missing. And so I partnered with one of my favorite people in the world. Her name is Amy Martin of Conscious Companion. Shout out to Amy. She also is a pet intuitive. And we were able to energetically tap in and track where they were. So both of us connected energetically with the animals, with the dogs, and we helped bring them home. They were showing us different buildings and structures that we were able to then locate on Google Maps, so we could be tracking them home. So
what you're saying is you made a mental connection, you and Amy, shout out to Amy.
Animals are really adept at sending us visuals and images. So if you're able to tap into their energetic field, you can pick up on that.
And you found the dogs?
So we tracked them home. There were 2 dogs. One made it home. The second one, we knew she was in a field and she wasn't going to make it. It was really hot. She was sending us distress signals, but she also sent us a very specific location of where she was. Now, the interesting thing is that Amy kept saying her body's not going to be found. She's not going to make it, but her body's not going to be found. And I got that same validation. But the human was very adamant about going to search for her dog. Of course, she's a beloved member of the family.
Right.
Now, the beauty of this was the heroic act that little dog made, because in her passing away and giving us those coordinates, the human actually found 2 rudimentary abandoned puppy mills where there were a lot of dogs abandoned and left suffering in that hot summer environment. So in her transition and passing, she actually saved so many more lives.
Wow. So the dog made it home, and then the other one, who unfortunately didn't, was able to direct you guys to a place where there was other dogs suffering who now have homes.
Exactly.
And this is all from the connection that you were able to make with them.
Yeah, and beautifully enough, we also tapped into the connection that the pet parent had with her pet, because we're tapping into that bond and that energetic field. If that animal had not had that connection with the human and that love and the bond that they shared where the human was so dedicated to, retrieve her dog, none of that would have been possible.
See, I feel like my dog understands what I'm saying when I'm talking.
Oh, totally. Right? Absolutely.
So it's that kind of connection. Like, how do these connections forge?
So on the most basic level, of course, formal obedience training is important to understand and communicate boundaries and learn new things together and teach new behaviors, right? That's one way of communicating. Then our energy is the most important way that we really convey what we need from our dog, how we're feeling. It's the most genuine way that we connect with our dogs, because energy never lies, right? As humans, we pick up on energy all the time. That's how we read a room. We walk in somewhere and we can see if someone's been fighting or if someone got in trouble, we can read a room, and our dogs are experts at that. They need to in order to survive in nature, and that's how they really connect with us. And that's why I always say this podcast is for people who understand that their dog is more than a dog.
Right.
They're part of our soul family.
I love that. Our soul family. Fish could also be part of the soul family.
Absolutely.
There is a fish that's called a soul.
Oh, chicken soup for the soul?
Filet of soul.
Oh.
Chicken soup for the soul is actually made of chickens, not fish.
That's so
Fish,
funny.
filet of soul, soul family.
I like it.
Right.
Bringing it all together.
It all comes back around. And speaking of it all coming back around, we're reaching the end of our first Pet Prana podcast, but before we go, we'd like to unveil a new segment. Of course, these are all new segments because this is the first episode, but our newest segment called Diggin' It. Diggin' It is where Denise tells us what she's digging right now in the pet world and why. So, without further ado, Diggin' It with Denise. What are you digging, Denise?
Thank you. I mean, so many things. But as I was opening up to my gifts in communicating and connecting with animals, one of the first books I read was Animal Talk, Interspecies Telepathic Communication by Penelope Smith. And what I loved about this book is she really hit on our connection that we share not only with our animal companions, but all animals in our surroundings, whether they're in the wild. It can be anything from, an ant to a wasp to, something bigger like the whales in the ocean. And one of the things that I find so important to reinforce is we all have this ability. It's not just a certain few. All of us have the ability to tap in and connect with the animals in our surroundings.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to go tap in and connect with some of the animals in my surroundings right now. And I know you're going to do the same because we have come to the end of our first Pet Prana podcast. And Denise, while we're all eagerly awaiting the next episode, tell us how we can communicate with you in between.
To connect with me, learn more about my philosophy, or get some of the free educational resources, including tips on the 4th of July preparation, go to my website, www.petprana.com, or you can always find me on social media as @Denise_trainer, as in dog trainer.
All right, and Pet Prana, for those of us who might not know how to spell, it's PETPRANA. So Pet Prana, and if you don't know how to spell Dotson, I think we all know, for the lesson from this podcast is to look it up on Google and then pretend that you didn't. Thank you so much for joining us on Pet Prana. I'm Alex Bloom.
I'm Denise Mange, and until we meet again, happy training.